morning, everyone. It's nice to see you this morning on the 27th of December as we dig out from underneath the blanket of snow and start to think about closing this year out and welcoming the new year in. Welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Hamilton. I'm Reverend Victoria Ingram. It's my pleasure to serve this congregation that is here to nurture one another, to serve the community, and inspire action to heal the world. This congregation has been around for a long time, since 1889, and during that time has gone through many changes and transitions, but remains a light and a beacon of progressive faith in the Hamilton area and a community of love and support for those people who are with us and part of our congregation, and you are welcome with us this morning. A part of our long history is having occupied many spaces around Hamilton, and for the last number of years we have been in our building on Dundurn Street. It is a place that is sacred and holy to us as we have nurtured that space, creating a worship space and a place to meet, and an outdoor space that honors nature and the native plants. It is a place that is special. We know we are given a great gift by having that space and stewarding that, and it is our job to steward it as it was stewarded and cared for by those people who came before us. We are on the lands of the people of the Six Nations, and we remember the gift that we have in our land and our property, and we seek to be good stewards of it, to keep it safe and wonderful, available and open for people in the future. This morning we light our chalice with these words from David Pohl. We come to this time and this place to rediscover the wondrous community of the free religion, to renew our faith in the holiness, goodness, and beauty of life, to reaffirm the way of the open mind and the full heart, to rekindle the flame of memory and hope, and to reclaim the vision of an earth fair and all of her people one. As I light our chalice, let's get ready to say our unison words for chalice lighting. May this flame be our light of friendship and love. I'm going to ask you to get prepared because we are going to sing hymn number 16, "'Tis a Gift to Be Simple." Rachel?
16, 'tis a gift to be simple, and we'll do it twice. Tis a gift to be simple, tis a gift to be free, tis a gift to calm down where we ought to be, and when we find ourselves in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight, when true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed, to turn will be our delight, till by turning we come around right. 'Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be free, 'tis a gift to come down where we ought to be, and when we find ourselves in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight, when true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed, to turn will be our delight, till by turning we come round right.
So this morning our story comes from Japan. It's called A Cup of Tea. Nan-in, a Japanese master during the Meiji period, which was a very long time ago, welcomed into his home a professor who had asked to come and see him. The professor arrived. He answered the master's very simple, polite greeting with a rather curt and clipped reply, and he strode past him into the house. The old man followed his guest quietly into the sparsely furnished living space and watched, his customary peaceful expression undisturbed, as the professor seated himself without being invited to. Nan-in turned to the professor and said, "Will you honor me as my guest for tea?" "Yes, I'd like tea," was the blunt answer, "and I want to ask you some questions." The professor continued talking with a bit of impatience. "They say you are very wise, and I would learn what you have to teach me." "Certainly," said Nan-in. "Certainly. I will gladly share all I know, but first, let us have tea." The professor sighed and frowned, and then he said impatiently, "Well, very well." He rearranged his coat. After tea, Nan-in focused on his task. He prepared the tea to the perfect temperature, steeped it just long enough, but not too long, and set the simple, lovely dishes in an orderly arrangement on the cloth before them. The professor cleared his throat, and he adjusted his coat again. Nan-in at last finished all of his preparations and was ready to pour. The master held the pot over the visitor's cup, and he began to serve him tea. The professor impatiently reached for the cup before it was half full, but Nan-in continued filling the cup. He poured the visitor's cup 3/4 full. Then he just kept on pouring. When the cup was full to the brim, Nan-in kept pouring, and the tea ran over the edge of the cup and into the saucer. Nan-in gazed calmly at the cup, continued to pour, and the tea overran the saucer and began to run all over the table. And the professor watched this until he could no longer restrain himself. He said, "The cup is full. No more will go in." "So it is," said Nan-in contentedly, and he stopped pouring tea into the cup. He looked at the professor with his kind and steady gaze, and he said, "Like this cup, you are full to the brim with your own opinions, your own importance. How can you learn anything unless you first empty your cup?" This morning, as we take some time for contemplation, for reflection and prayer, I want to share these words with you from Kenneth Patton. The reading is called "Let Us Worship." Let us worship with our eyes and our ears and our fingertips. Let us love the world through heart and mind and body. We feed our eyes upon the mystery and revelation in the faces of our companions on earth. We seek to know the wistfulness of the very young and the very old, the wistfulness of people of all times of life. We seek to understand the shyness behind the arrogance, the fear behind pride, the tenderness behind clumsy strength, and the anguish behind cruelty. All life flows into a great common life if we will only open our eyes to our companions. Let us worship not in bowing down, not with closed eyes and stopped ears. Let us worship with the opening of all the windows of our being, with the full outstretching of our spirits. Life comes with singing and laughing, with tears and confiding, with a rising wave too great to be held in the mind and the heart and the body, to those who have fallen in love with life. Let us worship and let us learn to love.
Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 Om Mani Padme Hum.
So, for all that is our life. Our first hymn this morning, the ever popular "'Tis a Gift to Be Simple," reminds us of exactly that living life simply is really our best hope for a life of love and delight. And this morning's second hymn, which we'll get to after the sermon, is called "For All That Is Our Life," and it instructs us to accept all of life, the good and the challenging, as a gift used to build the common good. And the Master Nun Inn story cautions us to make space in our knowing and certainty for learning and possibility and letting in things that are new. Here we are at the closing of the old year and the start of the new year. And I think that these are good lessons to revisit and think about. It's often at this time of the year that we engage in a bit of reflection on the days and the years past, thinking of what we have or have not accomplished, what we yet hope will be in our lives, and considering where we might want to or need to make changes to be better aligned with our best version of ourselves. We might even be considering making some New Year's resolutions about getting more exercise or being kinder, saving more money, or finding ways to learn something new, maybe meet new people. And these rather dark, still dark days of winter can be a very fruitful time for contemplation and planning, if we so choose. Of course, for plans to become more than ideas, we then also have to figure out how we'll implement them and follow through, how we'll keep our commitments to ourselves in service of accomplishing our own self-set goals. What a radical thought it is to consider all of life a gift. It isn't always easy to wrap our head around that concept, is it? I think most of us have been particularly hard pressed to feel that way about this past year, filled with fires and pandemics and floods and earthquakes and lockdowns, and you've been through it. I don't have to tell you about all the things we've experienced. So with the losses and the rules for safety and the waiting and anticipating for a vaccine and new strains of virus, for longing to be with the people that we love and care for, I know it hasn't all felt like a gift for sure. So how do we move forward into a condition and a continuation of that uncertainty and fear for one another's safety? How do we nurture hope and optimism when things still feel a little bleak? Carl and I observed holiday tradition in our home. We watched the 1951 movie version of A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens last night. This is the version where Alistair Sim portrays Scrooge and all of his miserly, skin-flinty, curmudgeonly ways. You know the story of his transformation following visitations by the ghost of his former business partner, Jacob Marley, and the specters of Christmas past, present, and future. And after being confronted with many truths and experiences that he didn't really want to face, Scrooge wakes up on Christmas morning a changed man, ready to be transformed into a generous and loving, humble and happy human being. When I think about it, I realize that there is nothing fundamentally different about his life on December 26th and on December 25th. He still lives in a huge house by himself. He still has loads of money, and he is known by one and all to be a miserable person. But what has changed is his attitude. His eyes have been opened by the experiences he had with the ghosts who visited him in the night, and that has opened his mind, resulting in the opening of his heart. He's been filled with information and perspectives and recollections that he hasn't chosen to acknowledge before or engage with. And as he goes through that process, he becomes aware of his need to reach out, to change his behavior, and to choose a different course in his life if he wants to be truly happy. And so, as a result, he turns his focus from himself to others, he learns to value generosity, and he asks for forgiveness not only from his nephew Fred, but from his long-suffering employee, Bob Cratchit. The bard has told us that all's well that ends well, and all ends well for Scrooge, a man transformed with a new attitude and a lease on life, with a new understanding of his place in society and how he wants to be seen and experienced by other people and by himself. He casts off his meanness and misery to forge a new beginning and change the course of his life. It's never too late, Dickens indicates. Of course, the story continues to have other morals too. It's a cautionary tale by one of our most noted British Unitarians, whose writing was commentary on the conditions of 19th century life, and it was also a call for humanitarian change. And while times have changed, perhaps unfortunately not as much as we'd like, I still think there are many parallels to Dickens' times today. And his story of Scrooge remains popular because we can see so much of ourselves in what Dickens has written. The gaps between the rich and the poor, the needs of people for affordable food and housing, to be accepted for who and what we are, clean water and the need for sanitary living conditions. Our lives too can change overnight. Maybe not the basic fundamentals, but our attitudes certainly. We may not control everything, and sometimes I'm pretty sure that's a blessing because trying to control everything would be a burden of exhaustion and responsibility. But we can work on controlling a few things, our thoughts and attitudes, how and where we choose to focus our attention. We can start and continue to look at life through the lenses of blessings instead of burdens, things we have versus what we have not. We can appreciate the true abundance that is ours, and we can be thankful for the many gifts and blessings of our lives. There's a cartoon that comes to mind that I saw years ago that really made me laugh, and I will share what it was like. It shows a gentleman sitting in the office of his counselor. And he's obviously been told by the counselor that he should be more grateful in his life, perhaps counting his own blessings. His reply is so very human. I do count my blessings. Then I see others with more and better blessings, and I get pissed off. I've had that moment. It takes a mind open to learning and seeing things from new perspectives, to shut out making comparisons that serve us no particularly good purpose. It takes discipline to pay attention to what it is we are thinking and focusing on, and to redirect that thinking and focus if it wanders into the dangerous territory of self-pity, resentment, or needless comparison with the lives of others. So let's use our energy and our righteous anger to make changes in the systems that oppress and disempower others instead of wallowing in me, me, me. We can turn our attention to the common good and our desire to create justice and equity for everyone, not greater privilege for the few. We can mind the lesson of our first hymn and look for ways to simplify and enjoy the simple in our lives. You probably remember the old adage, live simply so others may simply live. Reducing the level of tension and discord in our own lives, healing ourselves and letting go of situations that cause us stress. Letting go of the things that should be a certain way but never will be. Turning down or off the worry machine in our minds. Reducing clutter, mental, physical, spiritual, emotional. It just takes up our time and attention and our resources. We do need time in our lives for stopping, for contemplation, for considering, for prayer or meditation in order to slow down and reconnect with ourselves. We need rest. I think that is one of the possible blessings of COVID. It's enforced some slow down moments in our lives. We just really aren't used to doing nothing as a culture. We value busyness and achievement and a calendar full of events and activities. Now those same outlets of escape into activity aren't available to us. It's been difficult for some of us for some time to adapt to this new reality, to find that we have time on our hands with ourselves and our thoughts, not have every moment filled with something to do. And yet, I think this is exactly what a well-balanced life needs to include. Time to be with oneself, to consider and contemplate, review and reflect, to listen to our inner voice of wisdom and ask for strength or help or compassion or guidance. It's just a few days now. We're going to be celebrating the coming of this new year. We're probably thinking about how that year will be. I know most of us can hardly wait to usher 2020 into the realm of history. And we hope that 2021 brings more health, sanity, and more hope to the world. And I hope it also brings more learning, more happiness, more compassion, and more joy to your life and into the lives of all of those you love. I hope we all continue to work on transformation as we seek to become the best we can be. And as a part of that, we continue to share our gifts of love with the larger world. I wish you a very happy new year. And now let's sing that other hymn, For All That Is Our Life.
Number 128, For All That Is Our Life. each other serve, for services we give, for work and its rewards, for hours of rest and love. We come with praise and thanks for all that is our life. For sorrow we must bear, for failures, pain, and loss, for each new thing we've learned, for fearful hours that pass. We come with praise and thanks for all that is our life. For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift which we are called to use to build a common good and make our own days glad.
As we prepare to extinguish our chalice, we leave with these words. Spirit of life, my wounds may heal, but my scars may never fade. Help me to embrace them, not despise them. Teach me to live with my broken pieces, how to tend them, how to learn from them. Remind me that I possess the power to turn my curses into blessings, my shame into pride, my sadness into strength, and my pain into compassion. Amen.